Charles, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Right.
I can see your cursor.
Awesome. So Formpak is all web-based, which means it's not a program you install. Basically, you'll just go this link in your browser, and then you'll go to Formpak. You can really only do this within the office unless you VPN in. And don't worry about memorizing that whole link because we'll make shortcuts on your desktop. Basically, when you go there, you'll go to this user login, and we'll all set you up with passwords and stuff later today. This is where it kind of drops you. You'll have, these are basically all the different things you can do. In the center is kind of Formpak's homepage with a lot of updates, any like new tips and tricks. On the right is where you'll have either notifications or maybe tasks that someone's assigned you. Because once all the users are set up and we set the projects, each project will have certain tasks and you can assign tasks to people. And it won't necessarily say, you know, give you the task right away if it's dependent on another task. It'll wait until one of them's done, and then it'll send you you'll have a notification right here, or you can search for tasks that might be relevant to you. So, does it mean multiple tasks on that? Yeah, they'll all appear right there. Now, unfortunately, yesterday there was a slight hiccup with projects, which means we can't go back and look at ones that are already made, but I can show you real quick how a project is made. Basically, you just go right here, add new project. We're going to work with project managers to design a template, but right now there's just this basic one that I have. If you have some type of code you want to do this like demo 1. So then this is a unique kind of thing you have to put in. Parties, this could be a supplier or a customer or some other entity that you set up. Let's just say I just know something that starts with D. Just type D and here's any party that starts with D, so maybe, or just has a D in the title, so maybe just go with ABC Master D as the party. Just put in the date, say we want this done by Monday. This is just starting the project. This is it's basically the customer number, the unique identifier. So once you have this basic information, up here is where you're going to have save, edit, view, modify, or whatever's on the page. So once you save it, this pretty much starts the project. You put in, the actual full name that you want to have, like, initial demo project. If it's related to another project, you can put that up here. Like, I have a bunch of test projects in there right now. So if it's related to one of these ones, it could be that. You can set the priority. Project manager, once we get the users kind of installed, you can assign them there. Delivery party could be a customer. Contact is another thing that you can start to input, if you want contact that might be separate or attached to a customer. Other than that, if there's certain items, whether they be raw materials or formulas, you can look up, maybe you want it similar to some type of orange fragrance you have. You can put it in here and you can see that it's kind of moving off the screen, but here. Let me just project your butt. As you can see, there's both formulas and raw materials here. If you just want to narrow it down to either raw materials or formulas, you can just... Yeah. And yeah. You can mark raw materials as inactive, and then I don't think they'll show up here.
Under the focus item, can you just type in 0012?
Yeah. Basically, you can... Dash. Well, I don't know, maybe if it's a new raw material, it might not be in there, but I know that you,
So when you, so what search on the code number or the reference?
yeah, so,
Well, what this is showing me here is that if I put an orange, it's showing me all the raw materials, the orange types that we carry.
yeah, or anything that has orange in the name. If you want to match on other things, you do, you can also, like, codes will come up if you want to search by code.
Right, what about R1125? No, you know why? Because on the bottom, you click off
Oh, it's on,
raw materials. Right?
yeah, it's just on raw materials right now. So if you want formulation, there's your R's and stuff like that.
Yeah, it also does. Well, on the right, you can see orange and 29. On that cross-reference, what is that?
Cross-reference.
Of those CMX numbers, possibly?
These?
Instead of the focus item on the right-hand side.
Oh, cross-reference?
Yeah.
That would be if, like, let's say that's the raw material, but to the customer, it has a different name.
Yeah, delete that one and go back to the cross-reference and just magnify that.
This would be, the little search button basically is if you want to look by some very specific kind of search. But if you just want generally like the name or the reference number, you can type it in there and it'll auto-complete.
I think that cross-reference is the same. This almost works like our Blackboard. Or Blackboard, where you can search by a reference or by a CMX number, I believe. I don't know if it is like searching by reference. I don't have one.
The references are mainly, I think they're mainly numbers and names.
Yeah. 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 Type in CE. Yeah.
Yeah, so to see this like codes and the different items and the different things that I have. So that's if you want to have some items that you're focusing on. You can add it there. Applications is similar, but currently there's not a whole lot of default applications. I think I just put in shampoo as like one that maybe is some type of application that you guys would use. And once you kind of set up these applications, which can help you do, you can put certain restrictions on the application. So if, if the application is shampoo and someone puts in some raw material that causes skin irritation, it'll give you some type of warning, like, if it's going on your head, this wouldn't be a good idea. Other than that, there's properties that you can add. Like, properties are basically the only way you can really customize anything in Formpak easily. Like, let's say there's some other element of the project that is specific to you guys that you want to add. You can add it later, and then you can add the property in here as some type of other drop-down that you need. And also one more thing here, baskets are basically, we'll kind of go into a little more detail with people who use projects, but it's basically if there's a dozen items that you want to add to 4 different projects, you put them all in a basket once, you just add a basket to each of the projects instead. And
the other thing down under properties can be things like this is going to be used for skin, for contact with skin. So there are certain things that can exceed have a certain pH level for this product.
So that means when this is connected to a project, then when I'm making a formula, it'll prompt me to tell me
Tell you that
you're using this item.
Right. Can't use this item in this project because it exceeds the property. You can also have a property for your cost. So let's say they decide this project has to come in at under $5 a pound. We start making this project and start to realize that you've exceeded $5 a pound. If you want, hey, you're going to miss this property, you can go off and raw material, or check whether you're properties can be anything that a way this project's going to be judged. It can be on how much material you're going to use over a certain amount of time, the types of material you can use over a certain amount of time, what cost limits, those prices.
What about the cost levels, though?
I'm not sure that could be a property we could add it in.
It's about using an item that maybe it's a cost, but at that moment we don't stock it or don't have it in stock, and it might be a rush type of project.
That would probably be when you're composing formula, maybe. I don't know if that would really show up if you're using broken
If you show that in your property stock levels, then you have to maintain stock levels in Formpak, which you're probably not going to do. So that's part of the process is figuring out what properties matter to a project and how are you going to maintain those so that you can make sure they're right. So regulatory properties are already maintained for you because they flow out every day by tax number to what regulations and all have to be met by. Costs are all going to be kept up to date. Costs up to date for raw material. That's going to help you figure out what costs are. So those are the types of things you're trying to come up with. So it will just depend on how you work your project today before you figure out what we can do. And we're going to need some samples of the project sheet. We asked Christine over last week.
Yeah. I think she may have sent it this morning.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. But basically, now that we have a sample of the project sheet, we can send Formpak and help us change this template to make it look like your guys' project sheet. The only thing really let's talk about when making a project is there's this task list. Again, this is just the project template that I kind of whipped up. Maybe these are the 4 tasks that every kind of project needs for teacher requirements, and you formulate it, sample it, review it. You can go here and assign these to people, but currently the project, like I kind of showed you before, it's being a little weird because we missed an update. But you could go in and kind of edit these tasks to assign them to people, and then that first screen right when you popped up on the right, it'll show, hey, you need to sample this out or whatever. So once you assigned all this, all your projects done, you can either interim save basically means save it temporarily, but don't commit it for other people to look at. Save would mean that this is done. All these tasks are going to be sent out to people. So you get this message, and if you want to view it or add another one, you can do it real quick here. But I think if I try and do this, yeah, this is the error that we have right now that we are currently working on.
So is this all basically paperless?
You can print stuff out. If I could show you viewing a project, there will be a thing in the corner where you could print it out, but you don't have to if you don't want to. Like I said, people are going to get notifications.
Yeah, that's what I'm about all.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the second I finish my work and submit it, somebody else receives it somewhere else. You continue the sample process.
And that's the whole process of tasks to route those projects. Have one person, you have to approve it before it gets to the next step. Are steps conditional or can they be worked on at the same time? Those are all as you set up the project and the route for the project. And if right now you're using like a project sheet, that's all you have to set up. But you can have specialty project sheets where certain projects are just going to be create a sample for the customer. Other projects are going to need to get out to the lab so that it can actually go through quality control. You can actually start making a product for stock. And there can be all kinds of different ways that types of projects that have different steps to follow. It's really a matter of discovering what those are for now. I'm going to go through compare what to be, but in the future you could have projects for everything that don't have to go through all the steps. So some things are rubber stamped past Q&A, some things are rubber stamped past sales, sales are too. Certain projects have to go to sales or too. We talked about it a little bit when we were talking how you have a project. Some people like it to come back to the salesperson. Some people have it go straight to the customer. Some people have different review steps. They can all be incorporated into their project.
All right. So I would show you how you could basically managing a project is go back and edit it or view it if you just want to go back and look at it. These would be the two options here, but like I said, Formpak's putting this last update in here so we can look at it. Same for tasks. If you want to search, you can still look for tasks. Yeah, you can look for tasks based on, unassigned but ready to be used tasks, overdue, your tasks that are kind of ready to go. But, yeah.
Well, I'm assuming like from day to day, like there's going to be a place where I go and I see all the projects that I have pending. I can click on every individual one just to see what my status is or where I'm at on each one.
You can search for projects also based on like new projects added by you. It's all just the projects that you are working.
What about my due date?
You can look by overdue date. I'm pretty sure. I think there's a way. I'm not exact. I think it's probably in. I'll get back to you on it. It might be under. Yeah.
One's due before the other, and one is starting one.
I think it's under project details, but not working at the moment. So before I move on, does anyone have any questions on the projects? All right.
So just some custom work to do.
Yeah. And pretty much adding and removing fields and properties, that's pretty easy to do, especially once we set up the template off of what you guys have. But beyond that, it'd be hard to do real customization. So I'll move on to adding items like raw materials. And I'll tell you a thing to discuss this. As you can see, there's a lot of options here. Because I'm logged in as Mario, he has access to everything, so he sees everything. But still, you might have a big list of things. So if you wanted to add a raw material, you can just do add raw, and there's right there, add a new raw material. So if you ever get lost and you can pretty much type stuff in there and it'll pretty quickly auto-complete. This is where you would add a new raw material. Orange. Today is the orange day.
Yeah. Black.
Yeah. Item class. Citrus, I think is. This might not be exactly. I'm trying to think exactly what the field is. It might be the kind of. It might be something that you. Yeah, so right now this is just kind of basic, what is this at its highest level? So is it aroma, or is it a raw material, or flavor, fragrance? So, let's say it's fragrance for now. And the item code will just generate an item code if you leave it like that. But you probably want to put in some nicknames so it's easier to search, like, especially if you have a dozen different types of orange.
We have like a five-fold, a Brazilian, a California.
Yeah. Yeah. So do OK. If that code, that unique demo orange is already taken, it'll let you know and want to think of something else. So you probably know more about a lot of this stuff than me, but like descriptions, comments. I know that active or inactive is something you guys like. Are we using this? Can we use it or don't use it? Item group, that's something that you can set up later if it's something you want to start using. Uses, similar as for that item class we talked about, and you can add more of these if you want. And if you want to add, multiple, whenever you see these two things, like it's an aroma extract, but it's also, a flavor. If you want to do it like that, or maybe it's not a flavor.
As far as adding a new raw material and all the regulatory that comes with it, who updates that, or who inputs that, or who keeps that information?
Like regulatory documents and stuff?
Yeah.
As long as, I'm pretty sure as long as you keep the CAS number an
It'll bring
EC
out
number,
information.
it'll bring it in from Formpak, like all the data, all the.
That's something that's obviously kept where in England or whoever's working on it.
Or online, I think.
Regulatory stuff will automatically.
Yeah. As long as you get the CAS number, EC number right, it should be able to do all that classification and documentation automatically.
Those three things are all important for identifying what type of product this is, what the rules are about. The common thing would be if it actually has a common chemical name, and you don't know what the CAS number is, it will use that to help identify what it is. Sometimes the CAS number has a couple different, it can be the same CAS number, but multiple ones, so you may need to fill in the common name and a CAS number.
So we can make sure that they have to put like those couple, telephone.
And that's why you have
Yeah.
the plus sign.
Yeah.
Multiple levels. And so you also have room for a FEMA number, COE number, an FDA number, and whether they're mixtures, all those things are in there to help you identify this product. Probably all comes from a sheet of raw material. Once that's in there, then you're going to be able to go under classification of the property and see which rules are actually applied to those rules. So there are details behind that that come from those regulatory people. That's bigger in the system when you're not just setting up a raw material, but looking at raw material to see all the different details that come with it.
Yeah.
So what we want to do here, although we can set up a brand new item, we don't know what the CAS number is for this, we can make something up. But instead of doing that, we look at that by going into raw material we already have.
Tomorrow, say we're gonna set up a new item first, Gerardo gets it from Guidon. It's a new CAS number, new everything. Can he just put in that CAS number and everything else populate that name, or does he have to set up everything?
You start on that first screen, the key details, you need the description and all that, because that's going to be your entry item, description for the product, not the CAS.
You just copy and paste them, right?
But yeah, you definitely want to fill in, give a code number, give it a name, give it a description, whatever other fields you decide to use on the screen. You want to make sure the unit of measure is you're going to buy it in, and how you're going to price it will have to have that version, which looks like you're buying kilos of formulated in pounds. So we're going to have that's one change that this week coming up fairly shortly to make sure that works out.
Other than that, classifications are, your basic description, other things like dosage. Properties, this is where, kind of like before, I don't know if there's properties already in here, but yeah, there's some like flash point or shelf life if you wanted to look up stuff. And then if the CAS number wasn't here,
It would be populated.
you click this button, calculate now, and it'll go back. It'll look through everything and get the information you need, like what the flash point is. That's the kind of thing you want to do once everything's put in, because calculating sometimes takes time. Purchasing, if you want to put in supplier information directly to the, like there might be a supplier, like you already have suppliers in here, so if you want to put who the raw material is supplied from, they're all right there. Those are the ones that we've imported so far. Sales, this isn't, every sale, this is just, if you want notes based on selling this raw material, you can put them in here. So, then you just save it. Obviously this demo one doesn't have that much information, but it will still try and calculate some of the stuff, even though
It'll give you an error if it's incomplete.
it won't give you an error, but just won't, everything will be calculated. Like if you go to, what's the flash point? It's like, we don't know. It'll let you know that it hasn't really calculated everything. So let's try and view a raw material that you already have. 100. So, again, most of the information that we provide to Formpak is very basic, but as you can see, there's kind of a lot more as the cast number. There's a lot more options here because it's kind of been calculated already. I'm not exactly sure what this is, but there's a certification, is it kosher, is it organic? You could view the status of it. So we'll kind of calculate it out here, or you could request a certification. No, that's not exactly what I was looking for. Classification is kind of what we were importing or looking at before. Attachments. This was on raw materials, formulas, anything. You could basically right now I'm viewing a raw material. If I wanted to edit it, at the top there's this edit button. So let's say I had just any attachment document related to the raw material. Go to edit, attachments, add an attachment, whether it be some external sheet that or logo, anything about the raw material that you need to attach, you can add it here. Yeah. Documents. So documents here like food allergies and stuff. You haven't been added yet. They're supposed to be calculated and added, but yeah. A lot of document stuff is kind of better. She's kind of going to go over that better later, but especially when it comes to formulations. But you don't really have as much document calculating things with raw materials, but with formulas you have a lot more. And you can get really in depth with the document generation, so we might want to save that for some other time.
So for raw materials, you're going to have to import those MSDS sheets, any of the certifications they want to have, how you import them. Then it can use those as a create the documents for the finished goods and the formulation. So it's kind of a building block. Say the raw material, you need to supply some of that information. But on the formula side, you need to create design.
I know you mentioned before that you're adding formulas. If you want, and you can do that if you want to formulate something in this, and then later you make another formula, you can add a formula just as raw, as part of the composition of the formula. But if you have a raw material and you want to, it's not just one straight liquid or whatever, you want to add a composition to it, you can do it right here. I'm not going to save that. Yeah, you haven't saved this, so we'll give you a message that you haven't saved it. You can look for raw materials that you made in the past, and if you want to, you can add a composition. Like this says, hey, there's no composition with this material we just made. So we're going to add it. And right here you can add, maybe it has a certain orange. It will immediately go over the concentration, let's say just 5. You click enter.
Is that right at 100 composition?
You can make it whatever you want. I'm going to...
Should it be universal? Just to make it one way and everybody works the same.
Telling you up at the top, total parts.
Right now you can do
Total parts 100.
full parts 100, but if you did something, I'm just going to add random flavors altogether. And then this is like 10. Right now it's assuming total parts is 100, even though the total value is 50.
Part sensor is right.
You can, on the...
Your total parts can be 100 if everything's a 64%. If you have nothing less than 1%. If you have less than 1%, then you can switch that to 1,000, so you have 10%. Because then you have parts per 1,000. If you have less than a 10%, you don't want to go down to the 100,000 or to the million.
Yeah. think it's a million.
So this doesn't, calculate it to you at 100 if you're not at 100.
It's not kilos, this is parts per 100. So yeah, if you want this to be 100, you're gonna have to decide, that only 2 parts, working on 15. One of them is at.
Yeah, and the only reason I ask that because Formula Composer has a thing where, say I add orange at 2 parts, and then lavender at 2 parts, it's not at 100, but 2 and 2 is 50-50, which equals 100, and gives me the next, what it would calculate out to 100. I don't know if this is.
Well, this is just raw materials. When we get to formulas, they do have something like that.
Okay.
So we'll get to that in a sec. So I think this is just assumed if you have raw material you've just gotten from somewhere and you see on the label it's this part, equal parts this and that. And if you want to record that in Formpak, you have the option to add a composition to a raw material.
So if you're making up by a new material brought it in, and you're going to use that in a formulation, you need to know what the concentration of all the parts are inside of it, so that's going to be your regulations for whatever your allergens are. It needs to know that it has 1 part of this allergen, the other piece has 2 parts of that, so the total is 3. If you don't have all these things filled in, all you can say is that whatever the regulatory betterment cast numbers are at that level. So this helps you if you don't have the cast numbers that you know all the pieces are that are going up to go to this product. So basically a way to look at it. Raw material that's made of a lot of raw material still able to calculate regulations like the final document that you have come out of the other side. So you won't have to do a whole lot of raw material unless you buy a lot of manufactured formulas. The way you used to do stuff from Belmay where they bring in, fragrance A, and fragrance A is made up of these 12 raw materials. That's where you would do stuff like this. So I'll let you do product.
And when you're doing this, if you ever get lost, like, I want to add another element of this composition, up here you have add, or if you don't want to do that, delete, and then just delete that line. There's also usually an undo and delete or a redo, so if you accidentally deleted something you didn't want, it goes there. If you want to know what you're undoing and deleting, right here, where I changed the value, of the composition or added this, so you can see what you're actually moving through when you're undoing and deleting.
Can you type into the total parts area and change the versus what you want to pull?
I'm pretty sure you can. Like, if it was 50, it's modified, since this was when it was at 100, it's modified it down to half of that.
Right.
That's basically raw material composition. It's very similar to formulas, but formula has a lot more features, and we'll get into that right now. Oh yeah. Also, if you ever need any help about any type of screen, this help button at the top is pretty useful. You can search just like in that sidebar. You can search for if I'm adding a raw composition to a raw material, it has this little overview of it, little tips. If there's some term on there that you're not familiar with, usually this glossary, usually it'll be stuff related to Formpak, like what is a property, what is composition or development job, or a party. They'll all be right here, and you can check, what does this term actually mean, what is the scope. And there's a lot of useful tips here if you ever get lost. So,
screen monitors, you can throw up text up on the window and open. You can also have multiple windows open behind different sections and use it for one license composition. So if you want to look at an old formula and although the formulation part does allow you to copy it, it does let you look at that.
So one of the big things is looking at formulas side by side sometimes.
yeah. Or like, if I'm adding raw materials as a composition and then I have a new raw material that I need to add to this composition, you can go right here, open it in a new window, and there in your window, and you can drag this around and look at other stuff. I'm not going to save that composition.
Right now, anything you do in a Formpak is a playground. We're not actually creating any finalized documents out of this. This is a live system that's going through there. You can print labels, draw it, use it, send it to a lab, and create a sample, or something with it. But it isn't live. So if you create fake items, that's fine. If you create fake customers, that's fine. You want to practice with it. This is where we're training from. So starting today, put in as much stuff as you want, try things out, see what happens. Then you're going to get your training next week on how to do 4 jobs in the Formpak. This is just an overview today. I don't expect you to know how to use this, but there are videos online. In fact, if you go to the home page, there's a link to those videos directly from the home page. As you scroll down, you'll see that there are, on the left column, how to use it. So there's a few videos on there.
I think it might be in the part. Or it's one of these links. Let's try.
So with that, there's also the search. So if you type in video in the search area, that's that website. But you can watch set up a custom site out, watch the video, say how to look at a formulation. It will show you how to do it, and then you just go ahead and do it. So all their videos are tied directly into this. It's all basically on YouTube, so you can go through.
All the information right now is the current information you provided.
From about 2 weeks ago.
Now, if there's a customer requesting the MSDS of the 16th section, I can print it out if I have the information.
Yeah, because there's 2 things that happen. 1, make sure we have all the right customer information. 2, make sure all those raw materials for that product are correct in the test system, because if somebody went in and played with it and moved it, let's say that you decided you wanted to test the global replacement of an item. You're saying junk all the time, right? So the new item, so if you were testing it, you could replace everything orange oil with lavender oil. Boom, global replace everything. And now you're printing an MSDS, and using it right, you better triple check before you actually send that out as an actual document. Yes, it can generate the document. Just make sure you're using a real item with all the right things in there before you say go. Because if you say go, and you assume that's right, so maybe leave it a raw material, add it a raw material, rename the raw material, you're forgetting anything. Remember, it is a test system for right now. We're not saying don't do that. You should be practicing everything you might do. Just Formpak cabinet as well. There's such changes. Like that used to be like tracks all the changes in and out, date and time of everything that's going on. That's how it can roll back and go forward with all the changes. Right. The only and what that is also the other thing you're going to have a deck sheet is going to say this was last generated Tuesday. Is that the one you want, or have you changed some materials you want to go out and re-grab all the new maybe a new regulation into effect, or maybe a percentage change in the last. It will tell you to generate that document and we send it out. And this Formpak will also email it to whoever wants to get it. You can get your customer set up a contact directly with the customer. Whenever there's a set up or whatever a raw material changes, MSDS sheet goes out to customers without notice.
Of all the information provided for raw materials set up now in the system, how much more detailed does that card for every individual item need to be completed, or do we need to add more?
The CAS number was the most important thing. Anything that was a formulation that doesn't go back to raw material with CAS numbers, this will need to be done.
Okay.
And what we basically did is that if we came across items that had problems, don't put them in the system yet, so they're missing. So you may find that when you get to a formulation that you thought had 20 items on it, we just put one of the raw materials in because it didn't go to a CAS number, we could put it in the system. And they didn't check it back to that level. They just said all the raw materials were good. Raw materials have CAS numbers. Raw material didn't have a CAS number, just don't put it in the system. So we want to make sure we have that. And we gave you the list of those exceptions, so there weren't a lot of them. But definitely think,
So because it's collapses, right?
and they will talk about more of that when we do the purchasing training and the production training on how to do it, but there is a whole video on how do I set up the formulation, how do I do regulatory, how do I make sure all the pieces are there. The most important was CAS numbers. The EU number is going to be important if you're shipping anything to Europe, right? So the CAS numbers are closed. Basically, we want the EU in case the EU regulations are more specific than ours. So there's a whole lot of things we want to make sure we have set up. But the basics of it.
So we'll move on to formulas, which kind of solve a little bit of composition and raw materials. But like I said, if you don't need to create, if you have a formula that you made here and you use as raw material, you don't need to create a raw material entry and compose it. You can just add formulas that you've made to other formulas. That's right.
And will it bring it in exploded, or can we do it both ways?
I'm pretty sure you can do it both ways. I know there's an option to expand it. I'm going to probably try to remember where it is today, but so.
I think I saw it in the test environment we were in before, and it had those little blocks or something.
Yeah, we can expand it.
Right.
So if we're making something orange again, you can, again, you have to kind of choose the class, and if these classes aren't, you know, the kind of thing that you, if you need more classes than these, you can add those later. So if this is some flavor, the default code sequence is kind of just a way that it'll generate different versions of the formula, like coding for it. So just kind of, if it kind of populates the rest, you can, basically if it's red, you have to put it in right now. Otherwise, it's not a huge issue, but if it
Still let you continue?
yeah, like at this point, we can save it and some nickname. And it'll take you to the page where you can actually start making composition for it. So, very similar to the raw materials, just start adding stuff. And then, whenever you add something, it immediately takes the concentration. So if you want to do some parts of that, if you click enter, you're going right to the next page and you can start looking for some other type of ingredient.
You do it by either name or numbers.
Name, numbers, if there's some other way that you guys like to search for it, you can add it to the quick search functionality.
So that's one of the ways we might search it sometimes, where you see orange right there. There's 0012084. That is an actual, like a grouping of oranges. Could you search it by the 0012084?
We did provide that field as well to Formpak.
Finding it right there. It's in the name. You can find it anywhere.
Well, you know what, we give them a field that was just the item number, it's called item number, and had all those codes as well. And maybe we just gotta modify that form.
Yeah.
Add it on there, correct?
It might be in here, but it might be under some other field that isn't being quick search. But like I said, if it's in the name or the unique code, it'll be here.
It's telling you where it's matching over on the right, if you're solid and have that list.
Yeah. It kind of shows you what it's actually adding. So maybe, because these are all, I think, fragrances.
So where it's saying raw material formulation, it's matching the name.
Yeah, see, orange.
Raw material is the same. If you type in a number, you type in 800, it's telling you that it's not that first one, it's the raw material, it is in the code number. 800 match someone's code number. There are certain matching fields that it's going to use. What was the list? It's not just the code and the name. There's two other places it's searching. I can't remember from when I saw the video.
Yeah.
But it does tell you what those fields are. It checks about 4 of the fields for an item, about pilot fields perhaps, so when you get into those types of searches, and it tells you which one it found everything. Okay. So we just have to make sure we're plugging in not just the code number, not just the name, but we're also plugging in your class or category, wherever it is in a field of search, and the rest of them are where you want it to search. So we can go over that with the guys as we get, probably this afternoon, be a little bit further. Take a note to look that up, what type of fields you want to look up, items you want to really.
And anytime you're typing in something to search, if you don't want to just, if you want to look for something very specific or based on a really obscure field or property, this little magnifying glass here will bring up a search where you can just, if you want exactly some item, or you want some that's a certain price, but also in that orange group, you can look for it this way. And as you can see, the total concentration now is 27 because I just put in these arbitrary low numbers. But let's say I want this to be out of 100 parts just so it's easier to read. You could go here, and as long as this adjust all components is clicked, it'll adjust all of them to be by 100. Or if you want to go back to 10. Yeah, it'll adjust it back to 10. If you just want to adjust one part of it, like this, I want to adjust to 100. So based on the percentages now, I want to move it to 100.
What happens if now I want to change that and make it 100? So instead of having 3.7 below it, it's going to be 3.7. So you put 3.7, will that mess up everything else below it?
If you just want to change this to something else,
Maybe
like it won't edit everything else if that's it. You mean like?
Right. Okay. Yeah, that was my question. It won't edit everything else.
But it does change your total concentration, because now you're over 100 with the code.
Right.
You're making the choice of changing the concentration.
Right.
Or all the percentages. If I change this one, now my concentration.
Because I'm assuming if I'm rounding off like the second one, 94.44, I might go 94.44 or 94.45 to have a kind of a easy number to do. But sometimes when we do it here, it'll also, now it's reading 94.4, so now the bottom one gets adjusted to 100 because it's not exactly how it's over 100 or under.
Right.
So I'm hoping that the other ones won't change these data things so I can make the changes on the fly.
Right. You can change them individually. You can have them adjust based on the whole thing. And you would, when you would do adjust selected component, you would pick two components. So that when you adjusted the two, they went up together in the same percentage together, or three. So you have it split.
Yeah. Basically, if you adjust anything and it gets like over 10, you can just change it to 10. And it'll adjust everything to be at that level based on the kind of percentages. So once you have all the whatever composition you want in there, you save it and check it in, and when it's checked in, anyone can take it out and look at it. This is really only check-in, check-out type thing that they have in Formpak, just so that multiple people aren't working on the same formula at once. When you save it and check it in, you'll go to the page that'll start to look at things like documentation and calculate certain properties like will this cause skin irritation.
I have a question, and I might be getting ahead of myself. For February, it's a lot of trials, and you said we can do multiple formulas at once because this is more of a holding because it's not actually posting anymore. Say I want 3-4 formulas compounded. How is that happening now? Will it send it to my compounder? Do I have to print out paperwork? Or how is the technician receiving the information now?
So you're saying like you have a project and
I have a project and say it's asking for an orange vanilla mint, and I make 3-4 different variations of that orange. One with more mint, one with more vanilla, one with more orange, and I need my technician to compound all 4 of them. How is she receiving the information?
once you create a project and you'll have all these tasks, let's say you receive the, formulate some, like let's say this task requires you to apply with 4 formulas. You will, right, so I look for tasks. Basically, you'll click on the task. Once you make the formula, go back to that task and say, make elements, and then you can say like, action this task, and you can attach these 4 formulas that you've made to that task, and once it's completed, it'll go on, all right, now that this formula is made, we'll go on to samples, and whoever has been assigned to make those samples will receive those formulas.
Okay, so it's not an actual sample going out, because I still need to evaluate them, smell them,
Yeah.
et cetera, but it does go through it almost as a sample.
Yeah, well, whatever stage you want to make it, like those 4 tasks that I've set up were just what I was
So a project task, you have to say what the tasks are. The first thing is come up with the project. Then it's going to be to go to the perfumer to create the formulation. Then it's going to go to the lab technician to create the samples. Back to the perfumer for approval of the sample.
So
there, your yes is go on to create a sample.
So if I say to my technician, the technician will then on her computer get a prompt and say, look, you need to create.
Right.
And when she's done,
so it comes back to you now for approval. If you say yes, it's approved, now it can go on to the steps that would create the sample and ship it. But if you say no, it goes back to the perfumer, reevaluate the formula. And then from there, create lab samples. Lab samples go back to the perfumer for approval. Again, do you like them? Yes, they go to the customer. No, they go back up. So you can.
So what if you want to stop that process there, that he selected one that was good, but the other one?
Again, so as you have a project, the project is start the project, create a formula, lab technician creates the sample, perfumer evaluates the sample, yes is create a sample for the customer, ship the sample, quality control, ship the sample. No is evaluate the formula. And now it keeps coming. You can sit here and loop around 20 different samples until you're happy with it, and it drops out.
You pretty much pick the one you want. Now, currently in Lavender, when you post a formula, it gives you, like you've been using DF numbers, DH numbers, et cetera, then you can actually post the formula that is in our database that to go out as a sample. Are we still going to be creating those type of number formulations as references once you post something? That's applicable, or how you different?
How you number formulas, how you use those okay, the same way now. You have to remember, no formula will form back until an order is placed by a customer. So even though it creates a sample and ships to a customer, until the customer approves the sample, salesperson approves the price, now we can create an order. At that point, we would export the formula to Lavender once an order arrives, and there is how we're going to actually go through the manufacturing process. Formpak doesn't get into manufacturing at all, so you get past that point.
What?
This is all about the sample.
Right, but how everything drives right here right now is from the lab that generates the numbers.
Right.
Those numbers carry on all the way out to the customer.
And
Will this be starting point of where the system systemically assigns it a alphanumeric code?
yeah, you're starting at the lab.
That's what I'm
And creating all this.
That's what I'm talking about.
Something when you get it collaborate if you want to, right? You get the thing that will carry on through the whole thing. It's really up to you.
The lavender is going to turn on. Yeah.
No, I don't think something universal. Like right now, we go through DF and DHs.
All right. Just put the cookie.
Again, it has
All right. You left my bags inside. Good deal. Okay. You got it.
they've done all that before, so we just have to set up what you're
All right. Thank you.
So we can go to view or modify formula. Once you kind of get that initial information, get the initial composition in there, it can take it to this stage. If you're the kind of person who's going to be actually making this formula from the lab, you'll see the same screen, it just, you won't be able to edit stuff. But it'll look like this. You can also look for certain certifications if you have them attached. There's different versions of compositions, like if you want different versions of formulas, you can kind of, I'm not sure where I think once you modify it, you can, here's the version number. You can see like who created, who's checking it in, checking it out, all that type of stuff here.
You go into that view composition.
Yeah, from here you can review the composition, and it's the same as before. If you want to edit it, you can add different lines here, and it's the same screen as before if you want to change it here. Has certain properties, kind of like before, these are the kind of things that we're going to have to, there's some in Formpak now, but you probably have certain properties that want to add some formulas.
So these are physical properties like flash,
Yeah.
all those kind of things. If you pull down that top part where it says, you can also look at hazardous label properties. You can look at, those can all be attached to this and calculated. It's telling you what's causing each one of those.
Yeah. So if you wanted to look at all these, because these haven't been calculated yet, and calculate all these properties. This is one we just made, but it should have real cast numbers, so. And like most, pretty much anything customer, supply, or raw material formula, you can attach documents to. Other than that, this is basically where if you want to modify a formula, you just look up in here, modify a formula. Or if you are just going to manufacture it in the lab, view a formula. And certain people will have certain permissions based on whatever licenses we give them. So yeah, basically this was calculated when we got here, but if you change anything, you'll probably want to recalculate it again just to make sure. Attachments, documents, these are things that can be added later or generated later, and that's something we'll go into a little bit later when we talk perfuming and regulatory. And same thing with sales, security. If you want only certain people to view formulas or modify it, you can add them right here. So I think the only user other than Mario is, this guy. So if you just want to add only certain people and view and modify the formula, you can do it there. I don't know if that's something that is important to you guys, but it is available. Anything else you guys want to ask about formulas?
I saw that it was creating a formula, the pricing of it, was that part of what you were showing right now? Some included with the raw material cost of each item, the contribution of each item to the formula?
The problem right now is that this is in Great Britain pounds. So we have to get the U.S. dollars first off. But all these things have a unit price of 0. We haven't imported into what their raw material prices are. If we had prices there, it would be giving you that number.
Does it have a contribution?
A total.
Yeah, see your price over to the right.
Total price is 0. That's just because the
Let's
price
say the first orange is at $10 a pound, and
Can
I'm
you
using
edit
10% or $5 worth of product.
I don't
Would that give me a running total of each item, and how much I'm adding to the total cost?
I don't think you can edit the price here, but you could go back to, if this is either a formula or a raw material, you can go back there and edit it, and then it would show up here, but you can't edit it within the formula.
Do you export the formula?
There is a way. I'm trying to remember right now. But you can calculate the cost if you haven't changed stuff. Basically this little menu right here has other options, like right now it's just the name, price, let's say certain identifications if you wanted to ask numbers on there, or the concentration percentages. You could just save it like that, and then they appear right here. So that's under other menu on my screen. And also, if you want to print just this composition, go there and then go to print. It would just pop up a PDF that you could then print. I think you can change the layout of this. Right now it just goes to a template, but it's not as easy to change, but we can talk to Formpak and kind of edit it. But this is basically, basically what you see on the screen printed in a nice PDF.
So let's look at those three raw materials that you have on there, just so we can do a quick example of this. So that was M2, we'll just open up another screen.
12966.
Oh, you mean,
Open up other windows so we can edit that item.
I just feel like I just clicked on this with view, and you go to this page where you can view just this item. I think this is a formulation, so if you wanted to change anything, you can go to edit. Right now, just viewing it.
Okay, so click edit and just add a cost to it.
But it doesn't give you the broken down,
Well, after you add them all, after you go.
oh, then I have,
Like to view the composition of what's in this.
yeah.
Yeah, there it is right there. I'm pretty sure there is a way to, if you do use a formula within a formula, explode it all out.
Yeah.
I just can't remember the menu is right now. I'll double check. Get that in. Yeah, I think it's. I'm not sure it's under sales.
That's right there, that's grayed out.
That is weird.
Because it's formulation.
Because the formulation is
You have to go to all, you have to go to all the raw materials, or tell it not to individual products.
Yeah. But we'll get that, but you can be calculated in the formula once it's done, but.
So let's go back to, are any of these raw materials that aren't formulation basically?
No. You want to add one?
Sure.
88, 007. 007. That's me, no.
Let's view this. There will be a lot of, learning curve trying to find out where all these, so here, let's call it, and save it. Now, back here, unit price is still 0, but you can go here, calculate the cost, and it should be updated at a 10. So the total price, I think that's per, you have to put in the measurements and stuff.
It's showing your extended price over there, so whatever the unit price was, computation for each parts per 14.
Yeah. So the price is something that, we haven't gotten into depth with, but as you can see, it's fairly easy to go in, and if it's a raw material, you can view it, edit it, and then come back here and recalculate it pretty quickly.
This updates daily.
The idea is to have whenever Gerardo brings in a new item, to put in what its cost is, but then the actual receiving cost will be updated in as the average cost, so whatever it is you're using. will be updated every night. Wherever you're receiving it, you're receiving it in
Formula, like, yeah. If you want to print out 200 formulas at once, or...
No, a formula for 1 gram, 100 grams, 100 grams less.
I think if you just change quantity when you're...
Yeah, so you want to do a kilo or a pound of a formula. You did it at 100, but you want to print it out for, say, a kilo or a pound. And is there a way that this will convert it and just print out the formula to the correct part for that amount?
I think you might not do it in this screen exactly. There's, I think there's another menu where it's basically like manufacturing. I'm not exactly, we haven't really been shown it yet, but it's kind of the same thing where you just put in some quantity amount and it'll show you the cost and like adjust the concentrations accordingly. That might be it, because this doesn't really...
You're actually going to create a sample. Creating the sample, the whole process is saying how big your sample is going to, the lab sample is going to be doing that. It's all the same background. The formulation part is all about creating percentages, concentrations, regulatory, making sure it fits. The example is the amount, the actual doing the production side of it, and doing the shipping documents and all that part of it. So there is a whole sample processing part of it. After that,
There's more sample options, not just search for samples.
Another is create a sample.
Yeah. Was there, right? Not crazy.
I thought so.
Maybe might be the UNON permission, but I'm pretty sure permission do everything. But samples are basically the same idea. You either add, modify, or view it. This is similar. Yeah. And just like if you got passed to after a formula was made to create a sample, you could respond to the task by, filling out the sample. But they all function pretty similarly, just like customers and suppliers, pretty much under the same thing. You can add, modify, or view it. It's all kind of auto-filled out. You can obviously still attach stuff. Account managers, you can add certain users if, this is the person that you contact if you need anything with it. Contacts also are, not just the company, but certain individuals at the company. You can add them once you create them right here. And then once a contact is made, you can just search all the contacts. Like if you get an email from someone and you don't know what company or what supplier they're associated with, search it there. Suppliers is same idea. No, basically the same as customer except just classified differently.
One of the things we didn't get out of Lavender were any contact information. So we have customer information, we have supplier information, we don't have any contact. We have that. If we don't have that, that's the first thing that's going to happen. As you set up a new customer, you're going to want to put in who the contact are. If you have a contact, now you can make that section contact or the sample contact or whatever it is for each project so you can notify them. And if you keep the contact up to date with phone number
connect to your email?
Yeah, you can set up emails with people to use their accounts if whatever goes wrong. And more along the lines of customer relation type stuff, if you have a supplier that's related to a company, you can kind of set up those relationships here, but that's only if you want to. And the same thing with customers, you can set up, oh, this is their suppliers, track like, their supplier.
So toll manufacturers for a customer, you might have a toll manufacturer related to a lot of customers, you might have a customer related to a bunch of toll manufacturers, but keep those relationships consistent. So if you have rules that are apply to a customer, they would also apply to the toll manufacturers properly. That's them up every time you go through.
Yep. That is your basic overview right there. The only thing I might want to talk about is, you can add properties to certain templates, certain cards and fields. Just not something that an average user. It's probably something more that we would do. So there is a little bit of customization that we can have, but a lot of it is like what you see is what you're going to get compared to Lavender at least.
Just for the last paperwork wise, just check everything off, labels, boards, if they're gonna have it on the screen or they're gonna have enough paper, mailing labels and all that stuff, just to see what kind of.
The sample paperwork, obviously, I think the only other part would be in the creation side or the trial side. What you're saying is going to be more paperless.
It can be entirely up to you. The paperwork can handle it around the office, or you go to task list, get the task list.
If there's a task list and there's a formula, is there a way to check off the items you've added into the formula already?
But as you're actually mixing it in the lab.
Yeah, so our technicians know that they actually added, because what they do is, they go down right now when they do the paperwork. If you have the first item, then they check it off on the paper, so they know they added that. So sometimes whether they leave or they come back and is there a way off the Formpak and the formula's shown and they're adding each item, a way to check it off there or more get highlighted that's been added already?
And the check box.
Great question.
Yeah.
I'm sure that is part of the process, but I haven't gone to that. That would be a reason to print the paperwork, right?
That's why we actually print it out, because they can actually go down the line and check out as they add it.
Yeah, but if you don't need to print it, since you don't matter, then we have to.
I agree.
Like a little check box.
But there has to be a check box or a highlight box that it highlights.
And again, as you do the project, there are ways to print the formulation, check boxes, and all kinds of things. But I don't know, so I can't say, well, I know, I'm sure we'll find out some kind of actual useful training for using samples in lab tech.
Now, the only thing I didn't see was, I saw address and the shipping method, I didn't see
You can actually add a customer, so let's go into the customer, go in and pull customer card. When you add for a brand new customer, you have all the information that you would expect for a customer.
So basically when you're making one, all you need is, your code, the name, and region they're in. Once you save it, you can start filling out, we can fill out other stuff right there too, but, as far as, so you're looking for preferred?
Well, how am I gonna get this to the customer? I wanted to walk that around, their account. And I provided information on certain customers, existing customers, on their customer card. They like FedEx, here's their account number, and so forth. Right now, with Lavender, you spit out a sheet and it gives you all that information, because it's all linked together. I don't know if passed on to here. Or that would be more now the shipping thing. Saying, okay, this is
It might be, that might be at the point where it's moving out of Formpak, but you can always put, you know, in this comment or description, yeah, you could just put, yeah. That might be something that's a field that, like that property thing that we can add later, but if not, you have, you know, these two giant comment fields if you want to just designate one of those as this is working with the better information. But yeah, like, many customers versus saying it's just modifying one. You have all the, like, if you had a list of contacts here, you could go through them and they would all appear down here.
Or would you put like special instructions for that's in the same spot right here, like say, every sample to this customer must go with MSDSs or CLAs or.
Those are your checkbox.
Those are checkbox.
To your customer master file for production for those, for samples.
Yeah, samples, because not everybody.
Right, not everybody has all those fields, and I'm not sure what the process is, or if this is modifiable. It's definitely something that in the attachments area, you might have shipping instructions, that you have a sheet that you have for whenever you ship them something, you fill out all this information.
That's what's related with a lot of our customers, so samples are special requirements and special labeling or certain paperwork has to go every single time. And it's not for every customer, but it is. So we know that when the paperwork is printed, some kind of note is on there or it tells us that it has to go.
We haven't double checked or tested it, but most of it just goes out to
You can print
PDF.
any network printer on the program, so it just depends on what it's going to look like. I'm sure they have the drivers for all the people printers and all this stuff. Yeah. We haven't put it with all stuff going to be tested and you guys start to get some.
I mean, we told Penny kind of printers that we have and she was like, we could be printing labels with what we have.
Because they're documents from the course and what you write. So these are all things that you can print from within the system easily, so there's the type of contact, labels you can use. It all has to be, of course, get on your label if they're special that way, but we're actually, for documents and labels, up there, what company, for what label, for what items that we have.
Yeah, like red, obviously we need to have these items, like you have the items in the document, print an item for a document. Kind of like that whole basket I was talking about before. If you have, you know, these 10 formulas, I'm working on them on these 10 projects, and I want all those documents printed at once. You just add them all to a basket once, and then you can just add it whenever you need to add a bunch of items for something. So, yeah, items, whatever CLP label is. Maybe this can't. This is the kind of thing where I'm not sure what this item is or what document can be printed from it.
It's going to take the data sheet.
This might be because we haven't generated a document for it yet. Like, if we went and looked this up, it probably doesn't have it ready yet. You'd have to go back and calculate it. But this is where you would print it easily once you have it all calculated out, once the system's kind of running a little bit more. Yeah, the document stuff is pretty in-depth, the kind of thing that Penny will go over a little bit more.
And all the regulatory side and all that, people and stuff is pretty good for.
Yeah.
Special customers.
Yeah, we have a question. What is going to find the item number? is it gonna be able to run like chronologically, like next like if it's a title or some type of something next sequence? Would it want you, okay, this is next in line? Or could you search to see what you already have assigned and use stuff that's unavailable?
That is one thing that I need to ask because that item code that is required for you to type it in, there's no real way to search, like, I don't think on the actual, if we're going to add a raw material. Go back. You can have to, well, the raw material name, that will kind of generate a code on its own. We're talking about formulas.
Yeah, formula that's being posted, that's going to the customer. Like we started, I think there were CF, GPH, and they go 1, 2, 3.
At the end of the day, not the same thing, I guess. Regards to formula, it doesn't matter. It's going to be the unique identifier. I mean, you're more like, okay, what if I get description for your group members? How about the 3 steps?
Right.
That we don't duplicate that with members. My question was more along the lines of, okay,
If you pull down the list where it says default code sequence, it's manual. You type it in yourself. You can auto set this so the default code sequence is auto. That's in the setup, and you you want it to create alphanumeric, maybe instead of they all start with A, B, start with number 1. You have to set that up. We haven't gone through those settings yet, only because we don't know what those settings are supposed to be. So as we talk to the people who are going to create the formulas and come up with that, and then we'll also go into the setup and make sure we have them all the right way.
Yeah.
Right now, we would be guessing to go through all the setup tailoring questions, but let's go back to the main menu and click home and go to the bottom. There is a whole set of settings, manage application settings, and that is where you're going to the way the whole system's set up, and you can go in and update all of those things. I thought it was not the application settings.
It might not be here, but there's a place where you can basically make a little script that would say, all right, the sequence is an alphanumeric, or it's A, B, alphanumeric, and then 4 digits or something like that. I don't know how complicated it is if you haven't played with it yet, but it might be the kind of thing where you can just copy and paste and change 2 letters, and then this would be the code sequence for all these formulas, and it would be automatically in that drop-down menu.
Yeah, because we got an external number for the customer, the seller number, we also have an internal.
Yeah, I think it's just the kind of thing that we can make later, but right now the only option is the default manual one. It's kind of a little more in-depth stuff that we haven't gotten to yet. I think that's just about it as far as this kind of intro goes. We're just mainly here to get questions kind of like that. And hopefully the whole project with things should be fixed within a day or two. It's like a known issue, but they just didn't know that we had it until last night, so they haven't really had time to run in and fix it.
In order to test password issue.
We can set that up today. So if, I don't know how you want to do it, if you just want to shoot me an email with whatever username and password you want.
Like we set those up today.
Yeah.
It's all going to be set up the same way for ideas for the lab.
So yeah, it would be like that. But it's just stored in plain text somewhere, right? So yeah, we can just go in and do it like that.
Well, the password will be unique to the program. As you change it to what you want to do, it's going to get the same. It's up to you. Password, but we've also settings on how often they have to be changed and all those things for them to set. Your user ID will be the same, but the you won't have to remember a different user ID. And then we're part of what the first introduction was to figure out what kind of security. So you're able to do it first certain items, you're able to do whatever you want in the whole system. You're able to do all regular stuff. That's all part of it. Then once we give you your user ID and password, up to you to then go into the system and start looking to see what it is you can do, what you want to change. We set up tailoring questions. We have to just get through those and make sure we have all those done. But be under personal settings, that's where you can update your individual settings as well as your change your password, change it. We will be setting up each individual user ID and their permissions for folks that can get into.
Are you able to set up user groups?
There are current groups, if we scroll up a little bit, those are the groups that are out there, administrators, formulation, composites, developers. You can set up more groups than that, or you can set up groups within groups so that you have, maybe your formulation administrator, which is a premium, but then you have your formulation person who can do some modification where you can't get the modified one. And that might be something where you find certain people. But these are the default settings for the whole system as it is right now.
Yeah. Like each of these roles have a lot of different permissions, and Mario just has all of them.
I remember you were back on one forum where I think Carlos was saying, or where we were talking about granting the ability for other people to be able to modify that formula. Could that be a group so that way he could just, put that group on there and those are the people that would just naturally modify the formula?
I don't know about that.
Basically, the way you work permissions are cumulative. So if you're a formula administrator, you can do everything under that. If you're a formula modifier, you can be a formula modifier and a regulatory role, and then you can do both things in both places. So we can go as granular as you want, or as general as you want. We start out very general when we're in the testing phase. So if you're doing things with formulation, we're going to make you a formulation administrator. Then as you play with the system, say, hey, I don't want everybody to be able to modify this. Then we'll create a new formulation modifier that does something different. We'll have just different levels of work. But you can do it this way, where you have group type permissions, or you can just say each individually, one by one, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. We tend to use the groups so that they recommend that we do.
Okay.
We have a handful of questions that we got asked, and things that we noticed. A lot of it has to do with system tailoring questions. We have to make sure that we change everything from Great British pounds per dollars. You want to know what fields you can look up items by. Right now we do it with the item number and the description, but you want to know what the other fields that we can do searches on. And make sure that we have codes filled into each one of those. We have how we're going to number the formulas and come up with and how those numbers are created. How do we print formulas in different quantities for the lab so that if you have a formulation by parts, you can put it in, do I want to make a quart, do I want to make a pound, do I want to make a whatever it is, a kilo, whatever it is you want to print out those formulations in those units. Where we're going to put the shipping information for customers, so if they have special shipping rules, and how we add in fields into a customer record. We want to go over that using baskets more. We didn't explain that really well. We're going to make sure that as we do individual training, we're shown how to use baskets in and out, what those are. It's really a cut and paste for the group level.
Yeah.
So what happens is as I'm adding up items that I'm looking at an item and say, hey, that's an item I'm going to be interested in, put it in basket one, and I know that things I put in basket one is going to be performed for project one, basket two is performed for project two, I'm working on it. And so as I'm browsing through items, I can tag that the customer's going to use. And then when you get to where you're going to paste them out of baskets, then as you go on the project. But you'll learn more about that. I didn't think we explained it all now. And then the autofill also, how do we tell those from there if they're in order, or how we go through that part of it. Suppliers are basically, suppliers and customers are all in the same file. Suppliers start with an S, everybody else is and where we're going to get the context for those. so we need to talk about that as well. Any other questions that you have answered before we start the training?
I don't know if this is the best, Carlos, but, are you gonna be, specific about how many, units after the decimal point one, are we gonna have 3? You know, if we're dealing with fields where, you know, whether it's gonna be the pricing.
3 is the
pricing that you,
Yeah.
I think in the questionnaire that they gave us,
how many places after the decimal? Obviously, they created thousands in the back, so you need 3 decimals if you would do it 100. We don't really use about 3, but we should have 3.
So the decimal places that you have protect your final pricing, that's going to be to what you ask for.
And even if
But if you do that, by using that parts for
they don't just break it down.
that's how you get more decimal places. When your parts get too small, or your percentages go up, you can move it up to 1,000 parts, so that you have everything pops up. So that's really where you can easily change it at the formula level for pricing. You're talking about actually plugging a solid price. About that, so you want to know if that's going to be up to 2 decimal places or 2 decimals.
I think that was right. I know somebody go out, you get something decimal, but I always ask, it's just like 2 units after the decimal. It's just dollars.
So if you're using a small enough amount of material, doesn't matter if it's less than 10. Well, let's say your raw material is around $1 a kilo, and you're using such a small amount of it, so you're using.
Well, it depends. Not raw material is very, very, very expensive.
Right.
So it depends how much if you're going to swap at something for formula, you want to know. Because what I used to do about formula is,
So the other thing we're going to do is send you out an email that's going to have the website where you can log into Formpak and your user ID and your password. We also have already sent out the link for the introductory, how to get around your Formpak. That was went out here yesterday. There was a brief introduction that Penny did, and you were able to follow on how to get to Formpak. And then also the link to the website that has all the other videos that you can run through. Those are a great way to get trained on, at least have some idea of how to get into it. I recommend you spend a lot of time on those, especially with Dave working right up to your training. I know we're not doing we're doing the computer training right away. So you need to start watching. Everybody knows how to watch all the computer.
I don't think everybody knows that about that.
I know I just we'll forward that on today as we get the review training. But you're going to want to spend some time taking a look at those systems, how to get through the system. Because when you're doing training, you have to know how to navigate. Have to know how to that's really easy watching the video. But once we get into the training, there will be some here where you're going to have some laptops in here to make sure there you go. Are we going to be training in here or there? We're going to need room for at least six laptops at a time for the formulation training.
I think as long as we can get a phone upstairs, a power, upstairs.
I was just doing it here because it's actually air conditioning. And by the time you come back, 100 plus upstairs is going to get. If you can do it out of here.
It depends on how many people we have at a time.
So how are we going to get 6 laptops on this desk and will we use that screen?
I think where Anna's at over there, I could put another table of 2 people facing this way. And 3 and 3 here.
So in a lot of cases, we always have a classroom, we would put that projector on the ceiling and hang it so that when we come in, obviously we're not reading the intercom right now. But something to think about. something to think about as you finish your modeling out this room and get it going. Hang a screen from the ceiling so you can pull it down. It's ready to go. Get a projector mount on the ceiling so it stays out of the way. And it's in a simple site. You could actually mount up here, and that curved wall could be a screen as long as you're not hanging anything on that curved wall. So it's just like the artwork up there, then you have those, to get it to go. And you need a place where people can plug in 6 laptops. And right now, that little plug on the floor is going to do it. So we're going to have extension cords running in for a couple of spots so we can get everybody to have a workstation. So you will, when you actually get to the classroom time, a small laptop and a mouse and everything. You're not going to have your dual monitors or any of that for the classroom time. So you have to surely get your workstation. So take that back and forth. But for classroom training, coming to a for most and walking through all the steps that you would need to go through, creating a formula, doing regulatory for hydrants, setting up hydrants, starting projects, and doing them so. Look at the videos, so you might have a few questions to ask as soon as you get started. And go based on there.
I just have one more question. Identifying items. When we provided information to Formpak, there was 3 fields that we gave them. It was the description, of course. It was the reference number, which I see is code now. And there was a group number, which was supposed to be an item number. This was 4-digit hyphen and the alpha or numeric value after that. I don't see that on here. Maybe we need to customize that, like you said, in certain fields.
Raw materials or formulas?
Both. If it was raw materials, the code number would be the same in the code and in the item number code. And if it was a compound, it would have a numerical value hyphen, then an alphanumeric field, and then under the code it would just be an alphanumeric. Because we provided with both.
Right, you only select from unique identifier. The question is, do you want additional fields?
What I would report because now Carlos can put any orange as 0012.
But if I don't know the reference number, but I know the group number of it.
Because it's all group.
Like orange.
Yeah, so it's orange.
If you have a unique identifier.
Yeah, but if you're working as a perfumer and you're going to go select a vanilla, what are you going to do?
These are the fields that we can fill in with your imported items. So you have a code number, that's 707330, and the name is the description that you gave them. The alternative code is to look at what that is. That could be the other spot, but you also have your item class down the bottom and on the bottom. Those are all things that we can fill in with fields if that's what you think you need. First we have to find out how to determine what are the 4 fields that are hit. Click on how we can.
This is more for the compound things that are already in a compound, like R numbers, N numbers, EFs, EGs, because, like, say orange scale, everybody knows orange scale here. If I don't know, with the reference number, which I know is R1125, all I know is the group number 0012-009. But if we eliminate, say, the 0012-009, then how are we going to find it? I mean, I just got to continue searching them. If I already know what the group number is.
An example.
Orange statement.
R1125.
Is the reference number.
Right.
That's R1125.
But see, the group number, it doesn't have the R1125 after 0012, it's the 009.
Is that a formula or is that a...
It's a compound. It's not a raw material. It's a compound. So why do you use compound there?
He wanted to see what prices for all the oranges. And if you type in 0012, all the oranges
If you
come up.
type in all the oranges for compounds, you'll have all your prices for it.
See, so the grouping for that is 0012.
No, but the description,
Item numbers, you're going to have.
yeah, but the descriptions are not always the same. It could be an orange or vanilla. It might be a vanilla orange. So which one is
But if
it?
you type in a word, whether it's orange or vanilla, you come up with things that satisfy the description.
So what are we
But
going to
it might classify it as a vanilla than an orange. So now we have, yeah.
See, what happened in the Bellman days, just so you know, everything was grouped in grouping. All the oranges were in the 0012s. All the grapefruits were in the 0065s. All the apples were in the 0043s. So depending which apple you wanted to use, you went to the shop and it was under 0043 number, 001, or 002, 003. So everybody memorized the groupings of.
If we get the R1125 right, is that how you would look this up? Or
That's the record for it.
Or add 0012 dash
No.
R1125?
Mario,
That's
you
a whole
did it right.
Okay.
When Bellman was doing their thing, different papers worked under group number, manufacturing worked under those R numbers. But you got that unique identity.
There are item groups, so we could go into item groups, pull that down.
I'm saying that the description they already have.
So right,
There might not be any groups yet, but they're not including that.
Okay.
so that could be those groups that would have all those.
It's just another way to
Just
find
another
it.
way to reference it. Yes, it is a unique identifier. Nothing changes indexed 100% EREC now. It's just another way of searching.
So, because I might not memorize the R1125, but I memorize the 0012.
I don't know that we can convert by the group. So I want to find out what the four things that it searches when you do a quick search for an item. And it's either the class or the group or something, but it's in the help text. We're going to look at it right now and find out where it is. And then we'll import that field in the next time we do this special day and have it.
I know that recent history had assigned new groupings to a lot of things that they created. New grouping, I don't know if that's a standard now. Well, we're not going to have that. It doesn't have a system. Auto assign those, so these are questions that we have to ask. Because all that library in there, they had that Lori and everybody came in, they reclassified everything. Then they gave us those groupings. They don't go by
And for alternate numbers.
image number that we have. So if you're looking for everything there,
Names like it says in nickname, like a short name.
it's just like a searching
So I think we use too.
They have the option to have that as a unique identifier. That's fine. You can
Yeah,
use
it looks
like
like
a 07049.
Yeah, I thought it was just that kind of orange.
Yeah, because they have
How
that.
many oranges do we have? I mean, we could have
If you found it, if he hit it,
But if you put,
if Mario hit it, it was on the description, that's why it came up. The 0012, because it was on the
yeah, but
description.
you either do it in orange, you can do it by raw material, by line, or you can do it by color. So, I mean, obviously, we can under, right? You want to see all the different oranges.
if I know the specific ones that I want, it's the 0012.
So we're going to work on this debate. Go on for a minute, and then we might have, anybody have anything? I didn't go into depth on any of these things, mainly because this is an introductory class. Your next class will go into detail about what you're going to do. Think about paperwork flow, the workflow, on how you want to get information in and receive it. And we should be able to answer all those questions.
Hey, by the way, the item code was imported as the experimental code, I believe, in Formpak. That's what it was called, I think. Experimental code.
All right, we'll double check with them when we talk to them next.
Right, but it was actually exported out. The item code was, the item number.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing it here, so.
So I think.
Well, it was called.
That code,
Go ahead.
I guess the information we provide them, they slot it under experimental code.
Yeah, but like I said.
Yeah, that was.
there.
Yeah, I just took a look at the script, and that was what it did. So.
All right, well, we'll ask them.
Perfect.
Any other questions from anybody?
Yes, what's for lunch?
We can all go out for lunch and we can have some running, whatever we get lunch. Lunch is lunch.
I
think, I mean, for an introduction, I think we got quite a bit of it, so
A lot of info.
a lot of
Definitely take a look at the videos. That's where you're going to get into more details of what we gave you, and then try it out. You can have plenty of time to play it. You can't break it.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to give us feedback, maybe want to stop it.
You can bring it up.
Yeah.
Did everybody sign the sheet?
yes.
So what you have to do is write in Charles on the phone.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mario.
We will be around right after lunch to make sure you can sign in the Formpak. We'll be setting them up over the lunch break before the next class.
You want to sign that too?
More people the better.
Also, how much you kind of instructed to me.
Mario, I had a question. Well, yeah. Is it ready for stuff, or there's no information whatsoever?
It is in there. In fact, that's what we're talking about. If we go into the,
The record,
we
yeah.
want to go into an item that's it's under the,
Well, this is a formula right here.
right, so if we go under,
I think it's either documents. Like, this is the kind of thing where,
Yeah, you're clicking it, but there's nothing showing up.
yeah, we,
There's no Charles.
oh yeah, Charles, we're done for right now.
Okay then. I'll sign out. Thanks.
All right.